Learning goal number 14, powers and exponents. Okay, learning goal number 14, powers and exponents. And when I say powers or exponents, I'm referring to basically the same thing. For example, if I were to give you 2 to the 4th power, 4 is acting as the exponent here. So your exponent is 4. And 2 is acting as your base. 2 is being raised to the 4th power. Again, the exponent is 4. Now what this means, what this is asking from us, is to take 2 and multiply it by itself 4 times. All right, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's 2 to the 4th power, which you can find out to be 4, 8, 16. Okay, and that's just a little review, introduction to exponents and powers there. So for example, if I asked you to answer this question, where you are to write the expression using exponents. Here you can see 1/2 being multiplied by itself 3 times, and 3 being multiplied by itself 4 times. So if I want to rewrite this using exponents, I would say 1/2 is being raised to the 3rd power, and that's still being multiplied by 3, which is being raised to the 4th power. So 1/2 to the 3rd is 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, and 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So I rewrote that using exponents. All right, so we have to talk about a few properties that apply to exponents as well. For example, the 0 property of exponents says 3 to the 0 is equal to 1. Basically, the main idea is that anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. It could be x to the 0, it could be 1,340th to the 0 power, whatever. Anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. The negative property of exponents, basically when you have a number raised to a negative exponent, what happens is you take the multiplicative inverse and you raise it to the positive exponent. For example, 7 to the negative 3rd is equal to 1/7 to the positive 3rd power. Anything to the negative n power is the multiplicative inverse to its nth power. So for example, again, 7 is being raised to the negative 3rd power. Multiplicative inverse, or the reciprocal of 7, is 1/7. That's 1/7 to the positive 3rd power. Okay, so let's do a few more example problems here. For example, 1/5 to the 3rd power. That's telling me to take 1/5 times 1/5 times 1/5, or 1/5 multiplied by itself 3 times. So when I multiply fractions, I multiply across the top and the bottom. 1 times 1 times 1, or 1 to the 3rd power is 1. 5 times 5 times 5, or 5 to the 3rd power is 125. So 1/5 to the 3rd power is 1/25. Okay, 6 to the negative 3 power. That is the same thing as 1/6 to the 3rd power. When you have something raised to a negative exponent, you take its multiplicative inverse. In this case, 6 is 1/6, and you raise it to the 3rd power. Then you multiply that out. 1/6 times 1/6 times 1/6. Okay, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 6 is 36, times another 6 is 216. So 1 and 2/16. All right. Finally, 3 to the 4th, that's just 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. Exponents are something that is not new to you, but there are some properties that you need to understand. You need to understand how to multiply fractions several times. We need to realize what happens with a negative exponent and how that interacts with our problem, and also 0. Now, with that being said, why don't you try a few problems right now on your own?
Turn down for what?